My world was measured in seconds. The time it took for a heart to restart. The time it took for an airway to close. The time it took for a simple fever to become a life-altering infection. I was an ER doctor in Seattle. My life was a 12-hour shift of managed chaos, fueled by stale coffee, adrenaline, and the constant, thrumming anxiety that I was going to miss something. I finally did. I missed a subtle EKG change on a patient I'd diagnosed with indigestion. It wasn't indigestion. It was a mild heart attack. He was fine, we caught it, but I had missed it. My supervisor, a woman with the empathy of a block of granite, saw my hands shaking. "You're a liability, Ben," she said, not unkindly. "You're burned out. I'm putting you on mandatory leave. For weeks. Go sit on a beach. Don't read a medical journal. Don't even think about AFib. That's an order." So I did what any anxiety-ridden overachiever would do. I drove. I drove north aimlessly until the cell service started to get patchy and the landscape turned into a moody, impressionistic watercolor of gray water and dark, towering pine trees. I ended up in a town called Port Albatross. It was a tiny fishing village on the outer coast of the Olympic Peninsula. The kind of place where the fog had its own personality and the main street consisted of a diner, a tavern, and a bait shop. I was sitting in my Tesla, a silent, sterile bubble of technology, and I could feel the local yokel vibes radiating off the place. I was vibrating with a useless, restless energy. I needed to do something. I decided to park and go for a walk, which was really just a plan to pace aggressively. I pulled into a spot by the docks, misjudged the turning radius, and heard a low, dull thud. I hadn't even been going 1 mile an hour. I looked in my camera. I had gently, almost lovingly, tapped the back of an ancient, rust-colored pickup truck that looked like it had been held together by barnacles and sheer force of will. I got out, my heart already hammering out a stressful rhythm. A guy unfolded himself from the driver's seat of the truck. He was tall, wearing dark jeans, a stained thermal shirt, and rubber boots. He had a couple of days' worth of scruff, a mess of dark, unruly hair, and the calmest, steadiest gray eyes I had ever seen. He looked at my car, then at his truck, then at me. "Oh God! Man, I am so sorry," I said, my voice coming out too fast. "I'm on a new medication. I'm not sleeping. Let me get my insurance. I will pay for whatever. The damage, the time, whatever." He just looked at his bumper, which was already a landscape of dents and scratches. He poked my car's front sensor, which was now cracked and blinking an angry-looking red light. "Well," he said, his voice a low, unbothered rumble, "she's gonna need a new sensor." "Right, yes, absolutely," I said, fumbling for my wallet. "My truck," he said, knocking on his own bumper with a knuckle, "is fine. It's been hit by forklifts. You're good." "No, I insist," I said. He finally just put a hand on my shoulder. His hand was huge, calloused, and surprisingly warm. "Hey, city kid. Breathe. It's fine. Your car is the one that looks sad." He was right. My check sensor's warning was now a permanent fixture. "I'm Kai," he said, offering that same calloused hand. "Ben," I said, shaking it. "Well, Ben, the nearest place that can even look at a car like this is in Silverdale, which is 150 miles away, and the ferry's only running once a day. This is probably a 2-week problem for you." My blood pressure spiked. 2 weeks? Stranded? Here? No, that's not possible. I have to what? I had nothing to do. I need a mechanic. Now. Kai just chuckled. "I'm the closest thing you're gonna get, and I don't speak Tesla. Look, you're stuck. Go to the diner. Get a piece of pie. Mary's marionberry is life-changing. I'll make a call." I spent the next 3 days in a special kind of hell. I was a high-performance engine forced to run at idle. I sat in the diner, trying to read a novel, but my brain just buzzed. I paced the docks. I tried to meditate on a cold, wet beach and just ended up colder and wetter. I was losing my mind. On the 4th day, Kai found me in the diner, trying to get enough of a signal to download my medical journals. I was jittery, tapping my foot on my 4th cup of coffee. "You're gonna vibrate yourself right into the ocean," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "I'm fine," I lied, my leg bouncing under the table. "No, you're not. You look like a greyhound that's been cooped up for a month. You need a job." "A job? I have a job. I'm a doctor." "Right. Well, doctor, I'm a boat captain, and my boat needs to be scraped. The hull's covered in barnacles. It's hard, mindless, physical work, and I pay in cash. It'll keep you from chewing through your own arm." I stared at him. It was the most ridiculous offer I'd ever heard. It was also the best. Okay, when do I start? The next morning, I was knee-deep in low-tide mud, wearing a pair of borrowed overalls that smelled faintly of fish, holding a metal scraper. Kai's boat, the Undertow, was a 40-foot working vessel, not a pleasure yacht. It was sturdy and messy, and it smelled of salt and diesel. The work was brutal. It was just me, the scraper, and a million tiny, stubborn crustaceans. Scrape, scrape, scrape. My shoulders burned. My hands, used to the delicate work of sutures and scalpels, were raw and blistering in 10 minutes. Kai was working on the engine, a rhythmic, metallic clanging coming from the cabin. He didn't check on me. He didn't micromanage me. He just let me work. For 8 hours I scraped. I didn't think about EKG rhythms. I didn't think about my supervisor. I didn't think about my mistake. I just thought about the satisfying shuck of the scraper getting under a patch of barnacles. When I was done, my arms felt like they were going to fall off, but the hull was smooth. I had finished something. I was hosing myself down on the dock when Kai emerged, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. "Not bad," he said, inspecting my work. "You missed a spot, but not bad." He handed me a few wadded-up bills and a brown paper bag. Inside was a crab sandwich on sourdough. It was the best thing I had ever eaten in my life. I kept showing up. My car part was on back order. I didn't even care. I scraped the other side of the hull. I helped Kai clean his crab pots, a disgusting, slimy job that I found weirdly satisfying. I learned how to coil a rope so it wouldn't tangle. I learned that Kai was quiet, but he wasn't unfriendly. He just didn't waste words. He'd lived here his whole life. He'd inherited the boat from his father. He lived by the tides, not the clock. His calm was infectious. The constant, high-pitched ringing in my ears, the one I hadn't even noticed was there, had started to fade. It was being replaced by the cry of gulls and the thrum of the boat's engine. About a week in, he had to make a run to one of the smaller islands to drop off some mail and pick up a part. "You're coming," he said. It wasn't a question. We left before dawn. The ocean was like glass, the sky a pale, pearly gray. It was the first time I'd been on the open water. Kai was at the wheel, a silhouette in the dim light of the cabin, one hand on the wheel, the other holding a mug of coffee. He was completely in his element, a part of the boat, a part of the sea. The trip was long. It took hours. I had nothing to do. No service to check. No problem to solve. I found a pile of old, dry nets on the deck, in a patch of surprisingly warm sun. I sat down, leaning my back against the cabin wall. "Don't fall asleep," Kai called out, his voice amused. "Might hit awake." "I'm not. I'm just resting my eyes," I mumbled. The thrum of the diesel engine was a low, steady heartbeat. The gentle, rocking motion of the boat was like a cradle. The salt air was clean. I closed my eyes just for a second. I woke up to the feeling of a heavy weight on my chest. I opened my eyes, and the sky was a deep, burning orange. Sunset. My heart leaped into my throat. I had slept for hours. The entire day. The boat was docked. We were back in Port Albatross. The heavy weight on my chest was Kai's jacket, a thick canvas thing that smelled of salt and diesel and him. I sat up, my mind fuzzy and slow, my body feeling heavy and rested. Truly, deeply rested. I had slept through the entire return trip. Kai was on the dock, coiling the last of the mooring lines, his back to me. He must have heard me move because he turned around. He wasn't annoyed. He wasn't laughing at me. He was just watching me. A small, soft smile on his face. "You were snoring," he said. I can't believe I did that," I said, my face hot with embarrassment as I fumbled to get out from under his jacket. "I'm so sorry, I should have been helping." "Helping with what?" he asked, jumping lightly from the dock onto the deck. "The boat drives itself, mostly. You looked like you needed it." I stood up, holding his jacket. It was still warm. "I haven't slept like that in, I don't even know, maybe years." "It's the ocean," he said, taking the jacket from me. Our fingers brushed. His hand was rough and warm. "It scrubs you out, resets you." We stood there in the twilight, the water lapping gently against the hull. The world was quiet. My anxiety was gone. It wasn't just muted, it was gone. All that was left was this man, and the smell of the sea, and a profound, bone-deep sense of peace. "My car part gets here tomorrow," I said, the words feeling wrong. "I know," he said. His gaze was steady. "I don't think I want to go back," I confessed, the words surprising me. "So don't," he said, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. "I'm a doctor. I have a life. A whole framework. That framework almost broke you, he said, his voice soft. He stepped a little closer. You can build a new one, Ben. A better one. He reached out and very gently touched the side of my face. It wasn't a romantic caress. It was a grounding. A simple, physical statement. You are here. I could use a permanent deckhand, he said, his voice a low rumble. Pay is still terrible. I'm a really terrible deckhand, I whispered. Yeah, I know, he smiled. But you're a hell of a good barnacle scraper. And he leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't a desperate, movie star kiss. It was like him, steady and sure, and it tasted of salt. It felt like an anchor. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of being still.